Hello there, it's Boots Owen here. This little thing is a Brott 20 flail lawnmower. It's got to be 60 years old, roundabouts, 50, 60 years old. I'll give you a look around it today and show you what I've done to it, and we'll see if we can get it going. So it's a Brott 20. The Brott 20 made by the brothers Thomas of Oswestry in Shropshire. It's a B, I can't really see that, 64408, this model, or this serial. And it's quite an interesting machine. It's a flail, so it doesn't cut using the round and round like a ride-on normally does. And it doesn't have the scissors action that the Allen scythe has. It's got a flail. And the best thing for me to do is to show you what that means and then go through how it operates and what's going on. So then this piece here lifts out and up and off. And there really is nothing to it, it's just a piece of tin. This one's quite badly damaged, it's fallen apart and loose and got holes in it. You can see light coming through there. It's cracked down there, but it does the job for now. It sits up on this frame and hooks over here. And in here is the flail. I put my fingers in, which is always a good idea. And it's got these little hammers that whiz around and just cut whatever is in their way. And that's sitting on a piece of, I don't know, a piece of tube it's welded to. And you can see some of the hammers are broken off. That one's a half hammer on the end and it's broken. Likewise, the hammer on that end's broken. So it doesn't really do the full width of cut properly. It just doesn't quite do the full 20 inches, which is what it is. So going to the power unit, this one I've put a 11 horse Honda, and we'll see if we can get that going. That's just a more modern unit. It's quite an old Honda, GX340. It's a pretty good little engine. It's been quite reliable to start up here, but it hasn't started when I've just put my hand on it this time, so we'll see how that goes. To get that engine to fit, I did a bit of work to it. I put new bearings on the flail, so they're just standard plumber block bearings, one on each side on that shaft. It's a 1-inch shaft, I'd say, solid steel. You can see it's got some more rot going through there, some holes in that tin plate. More plumber blocks here, and I think I made a new shaft for this. I can't remember if I just refurbished the old one or not, because I had to move this pulley left or right a bit to accommodate the Honda engine, but I made it fit. So the power comes out of the Honda here through this belt to this lay shaft or jack shaft, and on this end of it there's a centrifugal clutch. And I made a video of refurbishing this clutch once upon a time, so you can see it spinning independently of the shaft. When the shaft goes up to a certain speed of I don't know what, 4 brake pads open up in there, expand and grab the outside, and that's why it's a bit burnt here, probably from use. And they drive this belt, which drives the flail. You can see that spinning in there. And that spins really, really fast, makes a hell of a lot of noise, and throws the grass up and out the chute into the back. It can come straight out the back, or you can put a bag on it. Then the other bit of this shaft here is, it's really stiff on this end. Where can I turn it? I'm going to turn it here because I have to turn over the engine and the gearbox to do this. So you can see I've put a 41.5 B41.5 belt, 17 by 1050 on there, and if I can get this to spin over, let's show you what I've put on here. So it's an A33 13 by 840 belt, 2 of them, twin belts, big aluminium pulley here, and there's a clutch in there. This is an Albion 3-speed and reverse gearbox, which takes the power here, reduces it right down. It's a cork clutch, dry, reduces it down into this shaft. I might have replaced that. I've definitely replaced those PP204 bearings. They look to be ball bearings in there, but it used to have sintered bronze bushings in it before, because it doesn't go very fast really at this end. And then the power just comes through this tensioner arrangement here. This is the tensioner up on top. That's just a spare wheel basically to get the full chain wrapped around properly. And I think it reverses direction as well, so it's going the opposite way, if that makes sense. the wheels will be going this way forward, but to get them to go forward it has to pull it the whole way from this side here, and it's a duplex chain as well. It's a split roller, so it can kind of go around corners. It doesn't really make sense what I'm saying, but it doesn't skid around corners quite as badly as it would if it had a single solid hub or single solid roller. I haven't replaced the bearings at the back because they don't get very much wear. These ones spin at a high speed, as do these, but the rest of them, they don't really spin fast, but they were just really loose. The exhaust arrangement, because of the grass box, the Honda exhaust sat up here and was in the way, and I could have bashed in the metal or something, but instead I just put a bit of flexi pipe and got a car exhaust, some little box out of a car exhaust, and did the world's worst welding job there to taper it down and put a clip on it, and it works. I think the other thing I had to do was cut those slots separately for the Honda engine because it didn't fit the way it should have fit, but it does now, and that Honda engine works. There should be a screen on the back here, a mesh screen that hooks on here, slots in there and blocks the back so you can't put your fingers in. And likewise there should be some kind of a cover on it on the side. That's missing. It's not missing, it's inside in the shed, but I just haven't put it on. This, you can see this casting here, 3, 2, 1, neutral and reverse. It's got a clutch through this brake lever or clutch lever, goes up through the cable there, down to here, from here, goes over to here, and if you look at that there, when I pull this clutch lever, can you see it move? You can't see it move on that side. Let's look at the back. You see the springs? Yeah, you can see it moving there. I refurbished that clutch. I might have made a video about that as well, but that clutch came up really nice and works quite well. The issue is the gearbox is a complete slop, so whatever mechanism is in behind here in that Albion gearbox, it's awful. Really bad, really sloppy, and it's hard to get it into gear, and when you do, and I've tried to make adjustments on it, there's a spring washer in there. Let's see if I can find out what type of gearbox that is. It's an Albion. I've given it a bit of a clean. It's an RCU 631 serial number. I don't know if that's the actual number of the gearbox, but I've taken this out and cleaned up the exterior, but I'm very reluctant to go into it because everything is imperial sizes on it, and if you go in, like there's a little bit of a note on it, Castrol XXL and other types of oil, you know, like even that plug alone, you'd never get one of those again. You'd have to buy a spare gearbox, and as it stands, I've got 3 of these machines and 3 gearboxes, and this is the worst, so I'm not inclined to do any damage to it. So, gearbox for drive, this is automatic, so for power, so once you put the power up, the grass cutters come on. Quite straightforward. And then on the front, it's quite interesting as well. If you loosen this bolt, you can slide the front wheels side to side, so you can have the cutter mostly left, mostly right, or centered. If you lift up this little pin here, it's quite stiff actually, it's probably not going to turn on my hand easily because I haven't done it in 4 or 5 years. If you twist that, yeah, it's going. I've adjusted fully up, but you can see here, this is, as I turn the handle, that's dropping the blade down to the ground, drops the whole chassis down, and then you just lock it in place with that. It should say raise and lower, but it's a bit rusty. I can see something there written, I think it says lower on the back there. The tiller steers it and drives both wheels at the same time, left to right. It's got a step on the front that you can fold away. That's a brake, but the drums are seized on this and I haven't repaired them. I've repaired them previously on another mower, another Brott 20, but not on this one. They're not hard to do, but they don't do very much, is my experience. You're better off just taking it out of gear, and the thing, unless you're going down really big hills or something, you're going to struggle to get up to speed at all. The saddle is a big sprung saddle, really quite comfortable with the little backrest. It's got a nameplate on it there, Terry. It's quite a pleasant saddle, that, and it's intact as well. So I got this as a spares machine for the other, but then I thought I want to put a Honda engine into this one because the Briggs & Stratton 7 horsepower didn't ever work on this, and I spent a bit of money trying to get it working and it wouldn't, and then just gave up, put the Honda on it and put some new stuff on it. But with the bad gearbox, you're going nowhere. Well, you're going, but it's kind of hard to control. The last detail These are go-kart wheels, go-kart tires. They're Avon Kart, K-A-R-T, Moto Kart I think it says. They're 3.5 by 5s, 2 plies. These were the same that were put on the front of a PLP 50 car. Very rare tires nowadays, and these ones have held air for the last 3 years with no attention at all, so I don't even want to touch them. I presume they have some kind of bearings in there. They feel a bit flexible, but oh no, the flexibility is coming up here on this pivot steering pin, so the whole thing's quite worn out. I think this machine came from an estate house in Scotland. It might have been used to mow tennis courts or something like that, but it was absolutely beat up when I got it, and it had sat for 20 years in the bottom of a shed. Tried to get the Briggs engine going. I've kept that safe, but I might try and resurrect it again. It's all about time. You can see here, there's what I was saying about the slots. I had to cut those are the old slots for the Briggs engine, and that's a guide pressed up to hold it in place, whereas there's a stone, and that's the tensioner bolt for the Briggs. I've never adjusted it. I managed to keep this okay, and for some reason or whatever, that belt tension is fine. I've never adjusted it. So what to do with this? Well, I don't know. Let's see if we can get it to run after 3 or 4 years of being laid up. Very strange is going on. It's shooting petrol out of the exhaust manifold. If you can see just in here, let's see around there, it is shooting it up. It shouldn't be the case. Let's turn off the choke maybe. Float ball could be stuck. It's unlikely to light if it's like that. Happens. Let's take a look at the spark plug. If you can. If I can get it out. This machine hasn't been started about 4 years. Definitely 3. I've rebuilt the clutch on it in a previous video. New bearings. I left by the sea for years. The exhaust is broken off it. Plug's just soaking wet. Looks pretty rough. There's a spark. Keep it like that. The whole exhaust manifold looks to be full of water. I can't imagine it's full of water, so what I'm going to do is take a look at the float bowl. So I've just loosened off this little screw here. That's petrol. It's the float bowl empty, I'd say. Let's put that screw back in. That's petrol, alright. You can tell by how quickly it evaporates off your hand. Let's have a look in the bowl. There's another screw below. 10mm, I presume. There we go. It's easier to loosen it if you loosen it rather than tighten it. Whoa. That bowl's pretty clean. Tiniest bit of nothing in it, but in reality it's very clean. Probably introduced more dirt using that rag than there was in there. So if I push that up, that's not working at all. Okay, slide this across this pin this way, right? Seems okay. Something's not right there. So just trying to look up underneath and I can't see anything. This little fella should be closing off a pipe, but I don't know what's going on, but it doesn't seem to be doing it. There's an airplane taking off. If I just try turning this on, either the fuel's all run out, I suspect, which is a bit crazy. Could be the case. Turn it off again, let's have a look. Yeah, all the fuel's gone. Put more fuel in, so if I hold this up, the fuel shouldn't piss out. Turn it on. Seems to be working. Okay, turn that off again. Get this float bowl back on. Like that. Seems to be working actually, so I don't know what's going on. I just have taken it apart and like do the job to fix it. Whatever complaint it had. Tighten that up. Entirely sure why it would have flooded through like that. Tighten that up, that's good. Get the spark plug back in. So I'll put the spark plug back in. This machine has a lot wrong with it. A lot of the tin work is bad. It obviously worked. Well, obviously it worked when I put it away. It doesn't work now. Where does that leave us? Don't know. Let's see, tighten that up. Spark plug's back in, it's on, turn the fuel on. The choke on, maybe? Choke's on that way. held it on with a piece of wire, and hopefully that'll do it. Started doing that thing where it's leaking out fuel again out of the exhaust, which is very strange. So there it is, the Brott 20 in all its rusty glory. Have a look at my other videos. I've got a playlist of these Brotts, this one, another 20 and a Brott 202. They also made a 124 and a 27. I've put a 27 in the playlist as well, but I didn't buy that one, and it's one of my great regrets because it was a pristine Brott 27. Nevertheless, there you go. Questions or comments, any anecdotes about Brotts, leave them below. Thanks for watching. See you later.